play it safe. I might play a little dirty someday, and I'll follow with faith. They say I'm the chosen one. I know what it takes to be a king, and be the song everybody wanna sing, and break heart beneath, and be the chosen one. Ain't nothing gonna stop this. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. I was born to be making history, something greater, something higher. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. It's plain reality. I was born to be something greater, something higher. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire.
What's up, everybody? How's everyone doing? It's the live show.
Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire, this fire. They told me I was never getting far, but those words couldn't take to heart. Oh, the day will come, be the chosen.
How's everyone doing? My goodness, it is good to be back. I figured since it is the end of the month here, I might as well come back and at least do one more live show before the end of the year. Because we got a lot coming up in 2020. I promise. I've been saying that a lot, but really, we do. We've got a lot coming up in 2020. Oh.
Something higher. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. It's plain reality.
I hope everybody had a very Merry Christmas.
Something greater, something higher. Ain't no gonna stop this fire.
All right. We'll go ahead and get going here in the live show. All right. It is good to be back. So, maybe we get in a little bit of why I've been gone. I don't know. Well, we'll go ahead. We'll go ahead and do that now. Why have I stopped doing the live stream? Well, basically, I was just burned out. Just burned out on YouTube. Lushy, I don't think so. We ain't going there. I've just been burned out on YouTube. And so I wanted to take a break. I kind of wanted to take a break from everything social media. There's just been a lot going on with the crazies over on Facebook, with us losing the business account, me losing my personal Facebook account. It just, I'm like, why? And so kind of decided to just put it all on the back burner, hang out with my family over the winter, because the lawn stripes, I don't think so. Y'all quit it. Stop it. 3 cheers for you, sir. And so what I wanted to do was just take a break, hang out with my family, because I know I've got the spring rush coming up, and when you're in the fertilizer industry, you have feast or famine, and the winter is going to be our famine month. So now that we're moving into spring, I'm going to have to be on top of it and get it when I can get it. So I would say that is kind of what I've been trying to do, is just hang out with them, enjoy the weekends, take a break from social media, just take a step back and focus on the things that are important. So now that we've got that out of the way, we've got just a couple people. I think people forgot that I used to do the live stream, because we got only just a few viewers in here on this Sunday, my goodness. But I will, for the dedicated, I will go ahead and do the roll call. Hit that. Double up on the dub horn. So, big shout out to number one in the chat. We had Ryan H coming in. And Ryan H not only is the first coming into the chat, but he had a question. We will have some extra cool power at the end of the season. What are some good uses for it? Well, it's a broadleaf herbicide that has some good kickers in it. Cool power. It's designed to work well in cool weather because it's got the kickers of triclopyr and fluroxypyr ester. I can't remember which ones off the top of my head, but it does have one of the pyrs and esters. and ester formulation. So if you need to hang on to it till next spring, save it for some good cleanup applications on new lawns. It's a good herbicide to be able to broadcast on new lawns and get that real good cleanup, even though it may be January, February timeframe. So there you go. That's what I would do with it. Then we had Brian Morales in here, Jimmy Lewis, kicking Jimmy. We had Kenny Cooper, the Lawn Stripes. Matt Martinez is so close to my heart. That's what I'm saying with such a sweet name there. We got Schaefer's Lawn Care and Property Maintenance. We got Juan Jarquin. How are you, good sir? C.D. Andrews. Man, what are you doing, C.D. Andrews? Glad to see you in here. We got the Bush League Lawns. We got Grass Thief. We got Camilo Ovalle. Man, what's going on? Jay Pink is in the show. Slushy's in here. Kenny Cooper, Turf Therapy. That's what I'm talking about. That's what it's all about. I did. I've been shaved since the Movember campaign, and I'm gonna rock it just a little while longer until I don't know. Maybe January. Maybe January I'll start to grow it back out. Already I see jokes coming in here, Bush League Lawns. I see you. I'm watching you. I see you over there. All right, we're going to get in here and start getting these questions. So a little bit about how this show goes. I'll tell you exactly how it goes. If you ask questions in the chat, I will provide answers. A little bit about me. I'm a 10-year veteran of the turf grass industry. I've had everything from my own business to now I'm in the manufacturing sector of the industry. And I actually own a company called Carbon Earth, and we manufacture a product, several products, but kind of our flagship product is known as Carbon X. And what we do is we homogenize a variety of inputs with poultry manure and biochar that's been through a co-composting process to alter the release characteristics of the fertilizer we homogenize with it. So a little bit about me. Now I ask you, please provide your questions and I will answer them to the best of my ability. One side note here that I always get from the attorneys, understand I do make mistakes. So yeah, we'll just go with that. I do make mistakes. So always double check everything I say and make sure I didn't say anything just crazy that just flew out of my mouth. So Craig Cockman says, welcome back. If I use T-Nex in the spring, will I hurt some Kentucky bluegrass reseeding areas I need to do? Should I hold off on the T-Nex? No, Craig, you are certainly all safe to go ahead with the T-Nex. It's not that T-Nex will inhibit germination, but what it can do is that if you do take your grass low and you hit it with T-Nex at the time of seeding, what that will do is slow the top growth of the competing grass, therefore give more opportunity for sunlight for your new Kentucky bluegrass seed. So as a tool in the seed establishment period, it would probably be a valuable tool for you. So it will not hurt your overseed. It will assist your overseed. How about them apples? Man, look at all these mangoes as weapons in here. Johnny Fescue, Tim Bennett, DIY Lawn Junkie, J Farm is in the yes. Man, we got Marco Canchola's in here. Peter Scanlon. Woo, gravy, look out is here. What's going on, good sir? How are you? American Troy. Brian Morales says, is 2100 ammonium sulfate with Microplex a good mix for St. Augustine lawns? How many pounds of 2100 would you recommend for 100 gallons? Well, Brian, I don't know what your spray application is, what your spray volume is, but it would all be based on how much nitrogen you want to apply. So we'll assume you're applying at 1 gallon per 1,000 square feet. Then probably where I would start is in 100 gallons would be putting in 200 pounds, and that would give you 0.42 pounds of actual nitrogen that goes down per 1,000 square feet. Now, 0.42 pounds of actual nitrogen per 1,000 square feet of ammonium sulfate on St. Augustine, that's going to be some hot sauce. So get ready. That's a very aggressive fertilizer app, but it's a starting point. You may not need that much in. Feel free to come down off that rate. That would kind of be an established maximum for your ammonium sulfate. You could take that down to just apply 50 pounds in 100 gallons. And then, so you can start to drop your rate of nitrogen that way. You could even do 25 pounds. It all depends on how much nitrogen you want to get down. So there you go. Chad Hooper says, have some winter weeds in my Bermuda lawn in South Alabama, even though I put down prodiamine in late September. Should I go ahead and spray these with post-emergent now or wait till spring green up? Chad, I would go ahead and spray them now. Get them out of the way. Don't worry about it. Be done with it and call it good. Ray is in the house. What's going on, Big Ray? How are you, sir? How's everything going over there in Hawaii? Can I use liquid aerate to substitute for aerating my lawn? DIY lawn care monster. What I would recommend is checking out a YouTube video by Jimmy with Picture Perfect Lawn Maintenance, because they did a side-by-side test in an open field, and I think they had some interesting results. I can't remember exactly everything that happened with it. Let me see. I think this is the video right here that has the results in it. But it does have exactly that. It's got all the results for everything you asked for. So I'm going to throw this link in the chat. Check it out. See what they have to do. I'm not going to recommend one thing or another, but there you go. Kitty Cooper says, what about my Pro Geese fertilizer with crap technology? I just can't get them to package it for me yet. How about this, Kenny? We are a full tolling company as well. So what we can do is actually granulate that for you as part of our tolling process. So if you need some help, shoot me an email. We can work out the logistics to get the geese fertilizer to us. We can perform a feasibility study, granulate it for you, and then it'll be yours to market. We'll even do an NDA. Ryan H. says, can biochar be bought on its own and mixed in with other fertilizer? It can, Ryan. However, what we do is we actually put it through a co-composting process to alter the release characteristics of biochar. Because what happens is when you're working with just raw biochar, you do not capture a lot of the same characteristics that you do after it's been through a co-composting process. So that's why we do it our way and not just work with straight raw biochar, because we do not get the exact same result out of it. In fact, we don't get really the result we're looking for it at all out of it. Lush Lawn says, if you can help stack pallets for a day, will you help me build a new program? If I come help stack pallets for a day. Yes, I will help you build a new program, Lushy. Absolutely. Because I love you. What's going on, Mark Taylor up in New Jersey? Proline Landscaping. How are you, good sir? How are you? Mark, I don't know if you were going to the teaching training seminar at Levitt's. Levitt's is a distributor up there and one of our new distributors for that region. So if you are going to it, I will be giving a presentation there, Mark. You can check them out here. And anyway, yeah, that is, I will be there presenting, and feel free to attend and check it out. John Crew says, if I were your backyard Bermuda, am I coming along nicely? Haven't seen an update on that forever. Yeah, I mean, it did fine. It did perform just like Bermuda did this year. I was gone a lot of the second half of summer, so that's why I couldn't really follow up with it, because I was on the road pretty much the entire second half of summer. If I wasn't in Florida, I was somewhere else. So, there you go. Whoa, I missed a lot. So I'm going to scoot up here and check over this. First year in serious lawn care, how much in per year using Carbon X products? J-Farm, with Turf Type 12 Fescue, never, ever, ever should you need to exceed 4 pounds per 1,000 of actual nitrogen. In fact, I would say 3 pounds of actual N will be a good starting point for you. So yeah, that would be where I would probably start, is 3. And then if you do have problem lawns, like areas that are new construction with no real soil base, that may be somewhere you need to push it up to 4. What's going on, Eric Ellis? Thank you, sir. Thank you. When is the best time of year to utilize X-Soil, after aerating or no? Bush League lawns, after aerating would be a great time to use a product like X-Soil. X-Soil is purely intended to work as a to manipulate the actual physical structure of the soil. So You can apply it really as heavy as you want. We kind of give a rough starting point of 10 pounds per 1,000, but it's truly just a granular top dressing material. So you could go exceptionally higher than that. So you could go up to 50, 100 pounds per 1,000 if you really needed to make that much of a change at one time. But chances are you probably wouldn't. So we'll just use that as a starting point. But yes, after aerating would be a great time to use a product like that. Lawn Creeps, 100% organic, soil food web-based lawn care represent. What's going on, dude? How are you, good sir? How are you? Okay. Yeah. I've already answered that. I've already answered that. Make your own biochar. Yeah, it's totally doable. You definitely can. Gravy says, Matt, I would like to granulate a crawdad boil. I don't know what I do with it yet, but I have a feeling. It's definitely doable. Gravy, we're actually working on a side project outside of fertilizer that it will be better to go with. I'm sorry, I'm reading ahead and I'm losing my place. That would be food safe. How about that? So we're working on a second line to be able to do that. And when that happens, we should be good to go. And I'll let you know. Said the Levitt's link didn't work. Let me try here again. Toby Howard in the house. What's going on, good sir? How are you? With Lawn Creeps, he does aerobically composted poultry manure. There you go. Have you got a distributor for Central Virginia? Greener Acre? No, I do not. If you have a place you'd like to purchase, I recommend you ask them to carry our product because it is the buyers that dictate the product, the SKUs that they carry. So there we go. Does it benefit Bermuda to overseed in winter with the additional roots that die in the spring? Actually, it's a little bit different. That Ray said overseeding is an additional stress to the Bermuda. It is. And I'll give you another reason why is because ryegrass, one, has a very, very, very dense root system. Two, as you start to make that natural transition that occurs, you've got another plant there that's living and breathing and out competing, one that's in its prime growth and one that is struggling to begin to grow. And so during that struggle process, it's having to compete with that ryegrass, and the ryegrass is just ultimately going to win. So don't get sucked into thinking that it's going to be a big positive thing. If you can get it sprayed out early enough, chances are you're not going to see the issues with it, and you may be able to deposit some root mass and some organic matter back into the soil. Yeah, absolutely. But you're going to be spraying that out in February. And then really at that point, what's the purpose of overseeding, right? Because you've still got another month, another 6 weeks of just dead grass just laying there. You know what I mean? So you understand it, what it is. Overseeding is a tool, and it's a luxury tool, and it's a luxury tool for homeowners just to act as color. In the sports turf world, it's done so to prolong the playing surface. So that is in that sense, it's understandable that there is going to be a transition period there because it's all about extending the duration of your playing surface, getting longer playability into the winter. And then if they need to take it out early, they can take it out early, or they can be a little slower with the transition back because they're just dealing with so much turf in general. So there we go. There's the cough. Matt, what are some common winter weeds for cool season lawns, and what are some strategies on controlling them? Okay, so common winter weeds: chickweed, hairy bittercress, wild onions, wild violets, clover, henbit. Those are probably going to be the most popular ones you see. Of course, some dandelions come in, later winter into spring and stuff. And some strategies on controlling them is being diverse with your product selection. So what I would do is look for a 3-way herbicide, like one that I talked about earlier was Cool Power. Ryan H. Was using Cool Power. That's a great product that's broad spectrum because it's got a few different synthetic auxins in it, and it also has ester-based formulation that's going to work well in cool weather. So that's probably a good product. Something like Cool Power. Any of the let's see, like Battleship 3 would be another good one that contains fluroxypyr, MCPA, and triclopyr. MCPA 24D, 24D ester is going to be another good ones. But in that synthetic auxin world, those are all going to be good products that'll work well across the variety of those. Now, for cool season grass. So that's what I would be looking for. Triclopyr, fluroxapyr, and 2,4-D dicamba. If you see those active ingredients in a product, you're doing A-okay. You can add a kicker to those to work better in cooler weather. So popular kickers would be something like octane. Another would be Quicksilver, and another would also be sulfentrazone. So, yeah, there we go. Ryan H. says, we do a good bit of centipede and apply at lower rates, especially root pruners. Any other tips for getting centipede to fill in well, or is it just one of those grasses that's never perfect? So Ryan H., one thing I would be real careful of, and this is what one of the things Ray taught me. I see Ray's commenting in here on this, is stay away from over applications of phosphorus and stay away from muriate of potash. Those two things, when we made the switch of those when I was in Augusta, doing away with some of that, we tend to see overall better performance from the turf. And that was purely just that change we made. But like Ray says here, potassium is going to be a big one. That would be something I would probably look at doing closer to a 1-to-1 on your N to K ratio there. And micronutrients, of course, anything you can do because it's not going to be a huge nitrogen consumer. It could be if you apply it, but you're going to create more issues that way. But utilizing your micronutrients to extend and get as much work out of your nitrogen as you possibly could. And soil pH, and I like things on the acidic side. And for centipede grass, don't be scared to get it down there to 5.5. Between 5.5 and a 6 is going to be ideal for where you are with centipede. Jake Malden says, pro-dime me now if one plans to overseed in May. Yeah, you totally could if you plan to overseed in May. Just understand that late of a spring overseed is going to be very difficult. It'll be very, very difficult. Barefoot Lawn says, if you apply 4 pounds of nitrogen to turf-tight tall fescue, how much potassium will the plant use? Barefoot Lawn, you're going to be anywhere between 2 pounds of actual potassium that will be consumed. And depending on your cultivar, that may even eke up to closer to 3. I have seen some of the newer genetics of, in testing the newer genetics of turf-type tall fescue actually being pretty big consumers of potassium. So as a general rule of thumb, 2-to-1 in decay, based on your growing season. And where you are, I would say you've got a pretty decently long growing season. So 2-to-1, you'd be good to go. Bermuda is going to take over. I disagree. But it's a possibility. But for the time being, I don't think so. Ron Hunter says, hello, Matt. I live in Northeast Ohio, and I put down some liquid iron today. The ground is not frozen and temps around 60 for a couple of days. Is a little green up possible or a waste of time? It's possible, Ron. It all depends on your soil temperature. I know it's 60 degrees, but if your soil temps are still hovering around like 40, something like that, it may not. It's kind of one of those things. So I can't tell you whether or not, because there's just too many factors to say whether it was a waste or not. But you'll know here in a couple of days. If it does get greener, then great, it worked. If it doesn't, then yeah, you wasted it. Grass Thief says, Matt, been treating soil with soluble calcium lime product to raise my pH. A soluble calcium lime product to raise my pH. Is there something else to add to break up the clay? Grass Thief, first, a soluble calcium lime product. What exactly is that? Because calcium carbonate, which would be a liquid lime, is not going to be all that soluble. And to get down the amount of pounds of actual liming material to actually have an effect on your pH, you could not do with a liquid. Not with calcium carbonate. Because you're going to need to be, 20 to 100 pounds per 1,000 square feet of actual liming material. And you can't get that in the solution. It just doesn't work that way. So I hate to tell you, Grass Thief, but the liquid calcium carbonate product you're using is not really all that beneficial. I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there. It's a marketing ploy. Is probably not going to work. It might be very temporarily, but as the hydrogen in the soil begins to react with those carbonates, there's just not enough carbonates to handle the volume of hydrogen that would be in the soil to really cause a movement. So I would probably plan on doing a real calcium carbonate application, not a soluble liquid one. And then the second part of that is to break up clay. So what we have to establish is, why do you think you need to break up your clay? Because the best way to break up the clay is to get something growing on it. And there's no product you're going to be able to apply to break up clay. So typically, gypsum is sold as a clay breaker, and that too is also, a scam. Because you're applying a salt, calcium sulfate, which is a salt of calcium, to the soil. So applying a salt to the soil isn't really doing anything to break up a clay. I'm like, it moves through the soil profile really quickly, and then that can open it up. Well, it doesn't really work that way. And there's lots and lots and lots and lots of data. Calcium sulfate has been researched for years in breaking up clay, and it just doesn't work. What it can do is displace sodium in sodic soils, but what it's not going to do is necessarily soften your clay. What you're looking for is probably more flocculation. You're looking for flocculation. Calcium can be a good flocculator, but typically that would be in the form of calcium carbonate, assuming you have a low pH soil. So kind of a lot that goes in there, but your best way to break up that clay is get something growing on it and feed it well with a good NPK program. Getting turf performing on soil, if it has clay structure, clay soil is actually a desirable soil type to want to grow grass on because it retains nutrients for such a long period of time. You don't have to fertilize it so much. So if you can get a good NPK program based on whatever you're deficient in, just making sure you eliminate your deficiencies, then you can get good performance and you'll get a quote-unquote breaking up that clay effect taking place. Green Thumb, whoa, we hopped down here. Looking good. I want a pop of color for and 3 or 4 day turnaround on Bermuda. Have you heard of using sulfur with a liquid nitrogen? A Green Thumb, if you've ever heard of ammonium sulfate, that is sulfur with a liquid nitrogen. So, yeah. Absolutely. That's a good product. If you want to take it to the next level, add some iron to it. You want to take it to the next level after that, add iron and manganese to it because sulfur is going to elicit an uptake of iron and manganese. So that's going to be your best bet. Ammonium sulfate, iron, manganese, you're good to go. Look, Ray just chimed in right there. Hey, man, welcome back. Will you be in New Jersey? Like to come see you. Yes, Joseph Rotina. I will be in there around January 22nd. I will be at Levitt's giving a presentation there. We're actually going to be talking about Carbon X and the products we released at Carbon Earth Company because Levitt's is going to be our new distributor up there. Let's see here. Spray paint Bermuda green for winter. It's doable, Lawn Commander. In fact, probably the best paint product I've ever used is Endurant, but it's difficult to apply. And the best I've ever seen it apply, I didn't do it, but a golf course out here, a great turf manager, and he's actually now with one of the private schools in the area, but just a phenomenal turf manager, and he did a fantastic job with the JD9 gun painting Endurant paint on Bermuda, on dormant Bermuda, and it just looked phenomenally. Let's see here. Oh, the lawn stripes did good with sulfentrazone and triclopyr. That's a good, risky little move there. I like that. That's a good tank mix that works exceptionally well. Very welcome, Nasty Nate. I knew that was you with your barefoot lawns over there, bringing back names from the past. Jason G said it hit 50 degrees with rain here in Wisconsin today. Yow, snow melted, and I see beautiful green carpet underneath it. Carbon X is my winterizer is working great. That's a good deal. Good deal. John Foggin says, I will be, no matter how you say that, it just never comes out right. JF. It just doesn't. Man, I will be getting snow soon. Anything I put down as an ice... You win, sir. You win, John. Man, very good, sir. Very, very good. That is hilarious. Oh, man. That is funny. What is currently your favorite varieties of turf-type tall fescue? Okay, I've made no secret about this, Eric Ellis. I like everything that that comes out of Mountain View Seeds, and that's just what I have the most experience with, and that's why it's my favorite. I use their rhizomatous tall fescue varieties, and that's actually what I have seeded in my front yard. My front yard still looks phenomenal, and I haven't really done anything to it a whole lot except applied Dimension this year. I applied some poultry manure, and really that was about it. Now, I've got some different things I'm going to be doing this spring to it, but, that's neither here nor there. Anyway, I have the most experience with it, and I really like it. And so I used, like, my front yard is Valkyrie, Screamer, and something else, another one of their lateral spread varieties. But I love them. I love them. They continue to perform very well for me. Camilo says, how do I get my granular sulfur breakdown dissolve in my lawn? Trying to lower my pH. It was an 8 last tested. Low cut Bermuda grass. Okay. So when you apply elemental sulfur, it has to go through a conversion process through bacteria in the soil, right? So in order to get that conversion into a form where it can begin to introduce hydrogen to the soil. So in order for that to happen, it's just going to take time, and there's not really anything that I know of that you can do to make that happen faster, except change all your nitrogen over to ammonium sulfate. That will also speed up the acidification of your soil. Then, if you want to take it to the next level, you could take one of the things Ray recommends is doing an application of citric acid to your soil. Now, understand that comes with risk, and that shouldn't be done by just anybody. So if it's something you do want to go, it may be something you can do once, twice a year, and maybe check out something at like the Lawn Forum to learn how to do that. Just understand it does come with risk. It's not an easy thing to do. Any preference in surfactant? Border has great convincing videos, but Dispatch has great studies with prodiamine. Think about using Dispatch and prodiamine for extra crabgrass control. Okay, there can be some advantages, but really it depends on the chemistry. So each chemistry you use, whether it be a pre-emergent herbicide or a post-emergent herbicide, is going to have different requirements of each individual surfactant. So is there a preference in surfactant? No, not necessarily, unless there is data that shows it needs to have specific characteristics. Like, for instance, something that has great studies with prodiamine, probably what that does is that enhances the solubility of prodiamine. So there may be a little bit of an organic solvent in there to aid in the solubility of the prodiamine. And then if it's something that's recommended to be used with, like a 3-way herbicide or something, it's probably an acidifying surfactant because synthetic auxins are going to perform better in lower pH. If it's something that works better with sulfonylureas, then it's probably on the opposite end of the spectrum. It's a little higher pH because your sulfonylureas are going to have enhanced solubility in a higher pH solution. So I wouldn't get too much caught into it. Just understand the chemistry you're going to be applying and pick a surfactant to go with it. Is one really going to outperform the other? Probably not. Now, what you can do is that you can use things that are just going to have a little bit more collateral damage because as in general, they're hotter. I did a video about surfactants a while back, and I tried to relate it to things that we normally use in the world as I walk around Kroger to talk about this. But and I'll give you an example. So if you're using like a crop oil concentrate, it's going to be a little bit hotter, but it's also going to have higher collateral damage. Same thing with like an organosilicone, probably the slickest of all surfactants. It's going to have the most amount of ability to cut surface tension, but at the same time, it's also probably going to have the highest instances of collateral damage, meaning you're going to be faster to singe your existing desirable turf grass just as much as you are get that extra knockdown from the penetrative power of that surfactant on your weeds. I hope that makes sense. Trevino Smith is in the house. Those of you who don't know, Trevino and I, we go way back to our Fairway Lawns days. What's going on, Trevino? How are you, good sir? Merry Christmas. I hope you had a good one with the family. I had to see you in here. PITTL, people. I don't know what that means, lawn pusher. I missed. Oh, look at this. Get that biology in the soil that'll break up the clay. Get the airspace in there. Build structure. There you go. Here we go. My local extension, Missouri, encourages mixing in Kentucky bluegrass with tall fescue to combat disease and benefit the color of turf. What are your thoughts on this? Barenberg HTG bluegrass. Okay, Bush League Lawns. I love extension agencies, and where you are in Missouri, you certainly can. But if you're looking for color, I sure as hell would not be putting in the HTG bluegrass. It is not that green. In fact, it's very lime, very, very lime green. So I would nix that off, and you can go with who is it? Coven Carlson is there in Missouri, and I cannot remember the name of his bluegrass. Manusa. I can't remember what it is, but his was extremely dark green. It is awesome. So you can, and they're going to be susceptible to different diseases during different times of the year. So it may not be as susceptible to like brown patch in the heat of the summer. It may not be as susceptible to Pythium in the heat of the summer, because it may just go dormant faster before the disease can set into it. So, is it going to help? Yes. Is it going to be a game changer? Like it might be in color during peak growing season. So, April, May timeframe, and then again, September, October. But outside of that, I don't think you're really going to see a whole lot of difference. Kevin Shepard says, would love some input on the plan for a successful spring reno in upstate New York. Planned on using mainly or only perennial ryegrass. My thought was to get quick growth and be able to put down preem before crabgrass. That's going to be your best bet. Temperatures are what's going to dictate the establishment of the grass, and that you really have no control over. So just use the best seed you can, give it the best chance to take off that it can, and then run with it and see what happens, But I wouldn't get it too far into your head that there's like a surefire way to guarantee it gets done. Really, when you're doing a spring renovation, you're at the mercy of Mother Nature, and Mother Nature is going to do what it's going to do. You can't really have any influence over that. J Farm says, any new products or price points for 2020 for the DIY? No, not really anything I can talk about right now. The one thing I can say is you're not going to see our branded products on the market coming up next year. So you're not going to see Carbon X on the market. You're not going to see Stress X on the market. You're not going to see X Green on the market. It's going to be called completely different. It's going to be sold under a completely different brand. And so more of that will be coming out probably closer to February. But what we've done is we have worked out a deal to keep our products in the DIY market. And so we're going to manufacture that, and we're actually going to have a bigger, more diverse packaging sizes. So you're going to see alternate packaging sizes, not just 50-pound bags, but different package sizes. And it's going to be a little bit different name change, but other than that, everything else will be exactly the same. It'll be the exact same product in the bag that is that you were used to this last year, and we made some changes as a company to our formulation, and you will be getting that new change and that new formulation. The big one being, of course, the introduction of peptides into the product, so yeah, that will be in X Green, that'll be in X-Start. That'll be in Carbon X. And so anyway, yeah, that's about all I kind of get into right now. There'll be a big announcement and all that fun stuff when it comes time. We're kind of just fiddle farting around through the rest of the winter here, trying to work on everything on our end. Lambert, what's going on? My favorite Lambert. I don't know if you've ever watched this YouTube channel before, but the Lock Picking Lawyer is one of my new favorite YouTube channels, and I wonder if that is actually you. Is that your alter ego? Are you the Lock Picking Lawyer? I think you are. Oh, Paul's Prime Cuts is in the house. Your lawn probably has Firecracker or Screamer. I think Firecracker may be one of the ones. I'd have to look at it. But it was Valkyrie, Screamer, and I thought it was Spider, but it could be Firecracker too. I can't remember, man. I can't remember. You probably remember more than I do, Paul. Best broadleaf herbicide this time of year for semi-dormant zoysia. Probably Speed Zone would be a good one. If you want to roll your own Speed Zone, you can, of course, run a 3-way herbicide and add in Carfincher Zone to it as a kicker. And that'll probably be your best bet there. You going to come to Iowa and mow Ryan's lawn this summer? Probably not. I might come to Iowa and visit Ryan, but probably not to mow his lawn. I'm not a lawn mowing guy. I'm an applicator. So I may apply fertilizer to his lawn. I may do a blanket application of some herbicide to his lawn. But mowing really ain't my thing. My whole career was based around, helping turf reach its highest potential, but everything but that mowing part. I left that to the people who are good at it. That's not me. I'd rather put my little thinker behind it. Okay, I have the Milwaukee Switch Tank battery sprayer. Does have a pretty high setting of, I believe, 115 PSI. Man, I have no idea. That's for you and Ray. Y'all talk that out. In fact, y'all are probably talking that out if I had to guess. What's Ace of Spades, my man? How are you, good sir? How are you? Glad to see you here. Tom Adams says, hey, Matt, what's a good pre-emergent for bent grass greens in the transition zone? That's a good question, Tom. I know you're at real low heights, so I would probably go with, if you can get it attached to oxidizon, would probably be your best bet, if I had to guess, also known as Ronstar. Let's see. I have a mom's in here. What's going on, Ma? How are you? How are you? We had a good time at your house down there at Christmas. My parents moved not too far from here, so I was able to Mazama. Mazama's what Coven has. I think you're right, Southern Lawn guy. We were able to take the kids down to my parents' house. They don't live in Memphis anymore. They're in the Atlanta area, so just a couple hours away, a little stone's throw of a drive there. So we had a good time down there doing all that in hot Atlanta. Shane Brady says, what's going on? 10 years younger, my man. I'm trying to look 10 years younger here. I don't know if I do or not. Let's see. Burn and return gives me brown bag panic attacks. Well, you're going to have to push it to the limit. That's what I'm saying, lawn pusher. Barefoot, I saw your video and you did a fantastic job on that video. In fact, for those of you that are out here in the Twitter world, you'll need to go like this video and subscribe to Nasty Nate up there in Pennsylvania. He actually did a fantastic video where he was talking about analyzing what's actually in a bag of fertilizer, and so how so many products, like I love this one where he talks about the 1300, which is 70% filler. 71.8% filler to be specific. And he runs the game all the way from a 1300 to 4600, the stuff he has custom blended for his company. And even then he talks about X Green, which is the 818 homogeneous product we do. So kind of runs the gamut. It's a great educational video. And if you desire to learn about what's actually in your bag of fertilizer, that's a good video to start with. David Hensel says, Hey, Matt, I hear so much about prodiamine and dimension, but no one has any information out about pendimethalin. Is pendimethalin any good? Is it more like prodiamine or more like dimension? David, you don't hear anything about pendimethalin because it just isn't that effective. It used to be, when it first came out, it was very effective, and it was kind of a game changer, right? Because you could apply it in February, and then you could apply it in April, and then if you needed to, you could make that third application in June or July timeframe to carry you through. But it just doesn't have the length of residual that prodiamine or dimension does, or even really the stopping power that prodiamine or dimension does. And so it fell kind of by the wayside. But what's actually kind of crappy about it is that you can't really introduce it as a tool for rotation because it's the same mode of action as prodiamine, as dimension. They're all denitrile inhibitors. So it's just one of those things that exists out there, but has fallen to the wayside because it's just not very effective. Kind of like Orzolan too, and what was the other one? Benzmec. They're just not that effective. All right. Let's see here. Matt, what are some of the most common winter weeds? I thought I answered that question. I think I did. We were talking about henbit, dandelions. There's a turf therapy. Zoom on back, and I kind of covered that. Henbit, and I also gave some controls on that for cool season lawns. That was back towards the beginning. Are there any? If you need some fert for lions, I can spot it back for you. Thanks, John. I appreciate that. Spider was one of the Mountain View ones. Yeah, I cannot remember. I feel like it was Spider, but I'm not 100% certain on that, Paul. I'm really not. Are there any conventions or trade shows that you'll be attending in the Northern Illinois, Southern Wisconsin area? No, not that I have on the radar right now. I can give you a little bit of a rundown of where I'm going to be, though. I'm going to be in Nashville next week. That'll be the 6th through the 8th, off and on. I will be in Nashville, Tennessee, Murfreesboro area. I'll be doing the Tennessee Turfgrass Show. Also, I've got some appointments with some companies in Nashville during Real Green, so I'll kind of be back and forth between there. Towards the end of the month, I am going to be in Florida for the GIS, the golf show. Also, I've got the Lawn and Landscape Technology Conference also in Florida coming up in early February. I've got to go to New Jersey in January 21st, 22nd, 23rd timeframe. 21st and 22nd timeframe, I'll be there for the Levitt's in-house training session. And I'll be giving presentations there. So I'll kind of be in and around. Towards the latter part of the year, though, I'll be mostly in Florida. And then in the spring, I'll kind of be back on the road. It's kind of interesting. You say I want to move more into Wisconsin. I think we could. There's a little bit of a demand for our product there, so I've got to find the right partner to partner with in Wisconsin. So I'll keep you posted, Ken and Cooper. That's for sure. Ryan 8 says, thinking about doing dithiapyr and sulfentrazone in 2-gallon next year for spot treating nutsedge control. Any thoughts on if that would work better than just dismiss? Ryan H, I would not put dithiapyr in with your sulfentrazone. Dithiapyr is not going to work all that well for nutsedge, especially preventatively to keep it from coming back. If you want to do a broadcast look at Ray right here. Look at Ray. Get it. I just spot treating with dithiapyr isn't going to be your answer. Sulfentrazone is going to be a better bet. So there you go. Are granular pre-emergence as effective as liquids? I know you did a video on it and seem to have mixed thoughts. Eric, for me, it was psychosomatic. There's plenty of data out there that shows one is just as effective as two. X equals Y in terms of results. But I do not like granular as much, purely just for a mental reason. That's all. Just a mental reason. No real scientific answer as to why. It's just a mental thing. John Borden says, I'll head to Florida with you. Everybody press F in the chat for John Borden. F in the chat for John Borden. He's in Kentucky right now. He is slaving it in Kentucky right now to get us ready for spring. Y'all have no idea what he has going on. In fact, he was at the plant today working, trying to make sure everybody is ready to go. So F to pay your respects for John Borden. Thank you for all your hard work, good sir. Let's see here. Polo Fields Lawn Service says, hello, Matt. Long time no see. Since the weather has been unusual, how soon can I put down a pre-emergent? When will Carbon X be available again? Polo Fields Lawn Service, Carbon X is ready to go. I do not know. Man, I cannot remember where you are, Polo Fields, but feel free to reach out with us, reach out to me, and I can link you up either with one of our distributors or show you a way that you can acquire our product. So feel free, shoot me an email or contact me through the Carbon Earth website because I cannot recall off the top of my head where you are. I want to say New York, but I can't remember. Cannot remember. Andrew, better be coming back to Ohio for too long. Andrew, actually, yeah. In fact, I talked to a fellow named Mr. DeMay, and so we're kind of planning on after the new year. He wanted to have a chat, so we may be scooting up there, and maybe we sit down and we have a face to face. If you know what I'm saying. In fact, I would like to after January the 13th, somewhere in that time frame. So I'm going to go ahead and call it right now. Sometime between January the 13th and January 17th, I will probably be in Ohio. How about that, Andrew Muntz? I got big plans, man. I got big plans. Put it on the calendar. We're locking it in right now. That's the lock-in noise. Let's see here. Man, look at all the F's in the chats. That's a lot of respect for you, John Morton. My soil test says I have high P and K. I believe that means it is not plant available. Is there anything I can do to make it plant available? Gary Evans, just because you have high P and K doesn't mean it's not plant available. In fact, your plants actually do a very good job of taking it up, and this is through root exudation. Root exudation is what will release enzymes from the root system, amino acids, to help solubilize that things that are tied up in terms of nutrients to allow for uptake. So what I would do is just focus on applying nitrogen, getting down your appropriate nitrogen that will drop your P and K levels naturally over a period of time. It may take a season, may take 3 seasons, but you can do it that way. And just save your money and just apply nitrogen or just a little bit of potassium to keep things going. But you should be good to go because your plant will help solubilize those nutrients to aid in uptake to avoid deficiency symptoms because your plant does not want to be deficient. For Ryan H. would house if you're on methyl plus sulfentrazone be a good fit? 2 modes of actions. Yes, the lawn stripes. I do like that, especially sulfonylurea with it. And in fact, if you wanted to take it to the next notch with sulfentrazone, I would probably specifically look at Solero as the kicker instead of halosulfuron. John, I will not be at Lawncology in Louisville, Kentucky. Okay, Polo Fields Lawn Service. Yes, in fact, I might be doing some presentations in Kentucky. That's kind of up to be debated. And we also may invite some people in to come visit the plant as well. So I can keep you posted on that. If you don't mind, Polo Fields, if you could contact me through the website real quick, just so I have your information, and I will start a chain of emails with you, and that way I got you locked in. Contact me there, Polo. If you need an Iowa distributor, Ryan has a shed and can say, Ryan is in the house! What are you doing, Ryan? Love you, good sir. Glad you're here. Ryan has a shed and can sling your product. That's right. Just don't set it on fire. Don't set it on fire. Look at Paul. Stop it, Lushy. Jim, what are you doing, sir? Glad you're here. Look at you hiding down there in the background. I will be in either Dayton or Columbus, one of the two. Either Dayton or Columbus. I will be staying out of Cincinnati because it reminds me too much of Pittsburgh. So I'm going to drive right through Cincinnati and make my way up to either Columbus or Dayton. I'm probably not going as far north as Cleveland, but Jim, feel free to come on down. Come on down. Dynamite. Is dynamite? Did I use dynamite? Are you looking up old videos where I talked about it? Because I can't remember. Is your plant family friendly? No. I mean, it could be. Yeah, it could. Root exudation, and that's exactly how you spell it. And so that's going to be a natural process of the plant. So whenever you see things where people say, oh, this nutrient's unavailable, yes and no. Chances are 99% of it is a bunch of BS. And okay, let me give you an example. So if you're making an iron application and you want, you're trying to do a foliar application for a quick turnaround on color, you can apply iron sulfate, which is soluble. It's completely soluble. It's plant available because it is soluble. And applied foliarly, it's taken into the leaves and you get a nice color response from it. Now, if you apply iron sucrate or iron oxide, it is not plant available. And you apply it and you don't really see anything happen in terms of color. And you're like, what? I just applied iron. Yeah, but you applied an insoluble form, therefore it's not plant available. Now, what does that mean? That doesn't mean you applied it to the soil, it will build in the soil, and the root will take it up as it needs it. But if you're looking for that artificial color response that you get from iron, you're not going to get it through iron oxide. You've applied enough iron to keep the plant from going deficient, because through natural exudation, the root system will be able to utilize and break down that iron oxide and convert it into a form that allows for easier uptake, because that Fe3 iron 3 oxide is just going to be too big, too strong of a pull in order to make its way in through the root, and it's not soluble either. So it's gonna have to go through that exudation through the root system that will break it down to a form that does solubilize it to allow it to be taken up into the plant. So it will keep the plant from going deficient, but you're not going to get that visual response that you're used to seeing with iron by applying iron oxide. You have to apply a soluble, plant available form of iron in order to get that visual response. And that would be ferrous sulfate monohydrate, ferrous sulfate heptahydrate, one of those two. Ferrous sulfate would be your soluble form. I hope that answers your question. Phosphorus, for instance, can become unavailable, and where that's important is, so if you've got, like, you apply calcium and then you apply phosphorus, or you apply phosphorus to a high calcium soil. This is why you don't mix calcium and phosphorus, is because it'll become calcium phosphate, which is insoluble. And where that becomes a problem is in your biggest point of uptake, where soluble phosphorus is most important, would be during seed establishment, right? Because it doesn't move well through the soil, and because you don't have a significant amount of root system for exudation to be able to occur to convert calcium phosphate into a soluble phosphorus form. So that would be where you need to apply something that contains like monoammonium phosphate, and stay away from things that can cause it to precipitate out and keep it, quote unquote, a plant unavailable. But if you're just talking about general maintenance of phosphorus, where you've already got an established lawn and because you're applying 4 pounds of N that you're probably going to utilize about a pound of P out of the soil, it doesn't matter if it's soluble or not at that time, because exudation is probably enough to maintain your adequate tissue levels in your plant. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Dynamite LS is in the Mountain View mix, not dynamite that goes kaboom. That's right. Is there anything I can do with saturation of soil with a given nutrient will normally be taken up by root exudation in small amounts? There you go. Is there anything I can do with dormant Bermuda to help prepare for spring growth? Not necessarily. pray for warmer temperatures because that's going to be your signal, longer daylight hours. But if you want to try and push it, Dennis, we need to have a conversation. If you don't mind, shoot me an email and we'll let's go ahead and continue that conversation. I believe we have talked before, but you can contact me through here and we can have a conversation. So as far as aiding in that transition, really, you may be able to go ahead and get a jump start on it by fertilizing early, scalping really low, to open up some additional temperatures. But it just, it's just a little more, there's not really a surefire way. Yeah. Burn it. Right. Which you're getting rid of that layer of dormant grass on top. Right. And with that dormant layer of grass on top that you remove, you're exposing it to sunlight, plus the heat that comes from the fire and all that fun stuff. So, that is actually a way to do it. Will Ryan North throw down Carbon X on a sissy grass next year? Ryan does not have sissy grass. We need to get that right. I love you too, Connor. I'm glad you're here. By the way, your Christmas card was just adorable. And I didn't see it until after I came back from Atlanta after Christmas. So I just saw it 2 days ago. And it was adorable. And your family's beautiful. Really. And I mean that. Ryan does not have sissy grass. Let's go ahead and get that out of the way. I'm tired of hearing it, and I'm calling it right now. Ryan doesn't have sissy grass. What he does have is a fantastic lawn. And no, I would, for his low-cut, high-density turf like that, I would probably recommend X-Green as being the type of product that Ryan would want to use instead of Carbon X. If it was something that he only wanted to fertilize once for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, then yeah, he could do Carbon X. If he wants to apply something every week, then he probably needs to do something closer to like X-Green. The 818 would be a better fit for Ryan and his lawn, in my opinion. In my humble opinion. All right, everybody. It's 10:07. We know what that means. That means it is going to be the end of the show. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Thank you so much for the end of the year. I'm going to go ahead and let everybody in. I'm going to do one more show before the end of the year. And I'm going to do one of those that I did last year where I just invite everybody in to come talk. So thank you so much for tuning in today.
I know what it takes to be a king. Be the song everybody wanna sing. Bring harmony. Be the chosen one. Ain't nothing gonna stop this. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Big thank you to Ray for helping me out in the chat. Thank you so much. I love everybody so much. Actually had a really good time doing this today. I did not plan on this show, but I'm glad I got to crank it in. And like I said, I'll be doing one more before the end of the year, maybe on the end of the year, maybe on New Year, maybe the day after New Year on the 1st, something like that. But we're going to get in one more. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. I had a really great time, and we'll see you soon.
This fire, this fire. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire, this fire. They told me I was never getting far, but those words couldn't take to heart. I knew the day would come, be the chosen one. Yeah. I never had a safe place to hide, run to the end of the tunnel to find a train on a shining sun, to be the chosen one. Ain't nothing gonna stop this. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. I was born to be making history, something greater, something higher. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. It's plain reality. I was born to be something greater, something higher. Ain't Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire, this fire. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire, this fire. No. I was born to be making history, something greater, something higher. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. It's plain reality. I was born to be something greater, something higher. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. I was born to be making history, something greater, something higher. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. It's plain reality. Burn, burn. I was born to be something greater, something higher. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire.